are moving to part 2 of that food series. Last time we talked about Walmart and the reported pounds for their meat not being correct when they were weighed. Now we're going to go to the other part, which is what the hell are we eating? What is in our food? And this is something we may not always pay attention to. So let's start with Aldi. For those who are not aware, I know Aldi is not everywhere, but Aldi is kind of like a cheaper Whole Foods. Like Aldi has pretty fresh fruit and vegetables, but for a less price than what you would pay at Whole Foods. So a lot of people do like them. I want to show you what someone recognized about the food, packaged food at Aldi. So let's go ahead and start with this one first.
They say Aldi fresh, but their salads contain bioengineered food ingredients. Their bagels contain bioengineered.
You guys see it? Contains bioengineered food ingredients.
Food ingredients, not so fresh. Even the granola bars or fruit bars contains bioengineered food ingredients. They say all.
That's one of them. We'll go to the next video here. This is
I'm here at Aldi, and almost everything they have contains bioengineered food ingredients.
all of them. Yogurt
contains a bioengineered food ingredient.
Bioengineered ingredients. So this is why I asked the question, what is in our food? Some people said Aldi is a discount store. It's not, I guess I don't call it a discount store here in Massachusetts because the cheapest grocery store here is Market Basket. Because even Aldi's prices aren't that cheap here, but it's cheaper than Whole Foods. I have found like their fruit and vegetables to be rather fresh. Now, what I just showed you, how many of you have time to do that? How many of you have time to, take that package and turn it around and look to see what the ingredients are? I think a lot of times we don't. I think most of us don't do that, right? Now that's Aldi. I don't know if it's just an Aldi thing or if other grocery stores could have that issue as well. But I do know that the problem seems to lie with a lot of these processed foods, right? Ideally, you want to reduce the amount of processed foods that you have. And this is some of the reasons, because it's not natural. Like there are going to be what I call fillers and additives that are there. Oftentimes there are ingredients included in processed foods that make it rather addictive, like MSG, things like that. And also antifreeze. Here's another one I wanted to show you. See, this is also wild and crazy. This guy, HealthBot, if you follow them on X, they have a lot of content about what's really in the food. So foods that have antifreeze in them.
After reading this comment, I definitely had to do some research, and I found out this one's actually true. Pop-Tarts and a long list of other foods and drinks use an additive called propylene glycol, which is also the active ingredient inside of engine coolants, various paints and varnishes and enamels. But according to the FDA, as long as you don't eat too much of it, it's okay. My question is, if you eat a lot of food that has it in it and you don't know that it's in it and you just keep eating it, it could add up pretty quickly, don't you think? Various ice creams within the Blue Bunny brand also have propylene glycol in their stuff. All right, this one's actually sad too because I love Cold Stone, but they have 17 different varieties at all their locations that have propylene glycol in it. More shots fired with Dunkin' coming in with their flavored iced teas having propylene glycol.
And this is another one, like, how do you mess up tea, right? How does Dunkin' Donut mess up tea? So he said it's their flavored iced teas.
Don't worry, you can still get their regular iced teas that don't have it. I've seen a couple of you guys say that Fireball is also banned in certain countries because of the propylene glycol, aka Antifreeze, but yep, another one on the list. Why, Betty? Like, seriously, we can't even have cake either? Yep, just another one, and Duncan Hines as well. This list is actually longer than my first videos, just about banned foods in other countries, so if you want to see more of this one, definitely let me know.
So I truly believe this is part of the reason why we see more. I say, let's start with the kids, right? When I was a kid, and I'm not exaggerating, when I was a kid, there was probably like one kid that you knew that had cancer. One. Now you see the number of childhood cancers has increased. People keep getting sick, people getting sick earlier. I just saw something recently that said younger people are starting to get colon cancer. And they do those screenings, later on, but they're starting to show now that younger people are getting colon cancer. And I've been thinking for a while that it's the food. I think we have gotten away from having more natural, healthy food than compared to how it used to be. And maybe the problem started with the microwave. Maybe it started with frozen dinners. I don't know. What I do know is that food does not taste the same. I can tell you, as someone who grew up and I was really big, like into chocolate chip cookies, I loved the Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies when I was a kid. Will not eat it today. You cannot tell me it's the same. It tastes very different. And now I know why. Dr. Eric Berg, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. You should follow him. He gives pretty good insight. You're not eating the same store-bought cookies you remember. What you are eating has more sugar, more additives, and more oils disguised as the same trusted dessert from your childhood. So he explains these things. And of course, the Chips Ahoy one really grabbed my attention. You see, back then, Chips Ahoy had in-reach wheat flour, rye flour, sugar, chocolate, shortening, malt, whey, solid, salt, leavening, lecithin, and artificial flavors. Look at everything it has now. And all of this isn't even great, but look at this. Here we go with the oses, dextrose, caramel color, ammonium phosphate, fructose corn syrup. You see all these other things, canola oil. Here's the seed oils, all these oils that they added. That's why it doesn't taste the same. And I don't know if you grew up like I'm a millennial, but if you grew up like I did, or if you're like Gen Z or Boomer, you know what I'm talking about. It does not taste the same. The cereals don't even taste the same as they did before. So they found ways to make these foods cheaper. But what does that mean for you? If you look at McDonald's French fries, for example, is probably the perfect example. This is what you're getting when you have French fries at McDonald's. Canola oil, see the seed oils, hydrogenated soybean oil, safflower oil, all these oils. There's that damn dextrose again, sodium acid. None of these things are good for you. Now, if you still want French fries, you can still have them. But honestly, you're better off just getting russet potatoes and making your own damn French fries at home. And I get it. We've all had McDonald's French fries and stuff like that. And I'm not saying this is something you can never have, but I think where it gets to be problematic is if you're eating this kind of stuff on the regular, right? They're putting so much stuff in our food, and then we wonder why we don't feel well. They're putting so much stuff in our food, and then we wonder why we might have a tummy ache. And when we go to the grocery store, the best way to really kind of feel this out is to shop on the outside of, don't go down the aisles. When you go down the aisles of the grocery store, that's when you're getting more of the processed foods, right? But if you shop on that perimeter, you're getting the fruits, the vegetables, like the meats, like all those things are on the perimeter. But once you start going down those aisles, that's where a lot of the processed food exists. And there are healthier items than other ones. But one of the things that you can look for is this. If you can't pronounce it, your body probably doesn't know what to do with it. These ingredients are in almost everything at the grocery store: cereals, snacks, bread, sauces, even foods marketed as healthy. They're designed to extend the shelf life, enhance flavor, and keep you coming back for more. And here are some of the ingredients that you should probably avoid: enriched wheat, canola oil, artificial coloring, soy, acesulfame K, high fructose corn syrup, polysorbate 80, MSG, hydrogenated and fractionated oils, potassium benzoate and sodium benzoate, artificial flavors, aspartame, propylgalates, BHA, BHT, sodium chloride, potassium sorbate, soy lecithin, and sucralose. That's just some of them, not all of them. But these things obviously are not healthy for you. If you talk to your grandparents, or hell, even your parents, and you ask them about what food used to taste like, it didn't used to be this way. There wasn't as much processed foods. And so people had healthier food. If you wonder why, like, how is it some people from like the silent generation, they lived so long? They didn't eat the food that we eat. They didn't grow up on that. Let's go back to the days before there were TV dinners, before people were putting food in a microwave, when the only way you had food is if it was coming just out of the oven, off the stove, or if you wanted to heat something up, you had to heat it up in the oven. And what it makes me wonder is faster necessarily better? I'm starting to think that it's not. And that prompts some of us to go towards organic. And this is another one that can be a scam. The organic foods that you see in the grocery store, are they really organic? How do we know? Here's an example here. Grocery stores are currently under investigation because the mist on their organic produce isn't water. It's actually full of chlorine and other pesticides to kill bacteria. Even organic food has pesticides in many grocery stores. I'll show you this here. There's a letter there. Ken Patton, Attorney General of Texas, investigates major grocery chains for spraying organic produce with pesticides without telling customers. So when you see those the mist spray over the veggie tables, I like saying veggie tables, spread over the veggie tables and all that stuff, that's not water. And so it seems like there's some type of investigation going on there. So that brings me to this point. Is it organic? Let me show you what they're able to get away with. Check this out.
People think it means no pesticides, but that's absolutely not true. Organic farmers can and do use pesticides. They just have to be derived from natural sources. In fact, there are over 20 chemicals approved for organic use in the United States. And weirdly, some of those natural pesticides can be more toxic than synthetic ones, which
they even listed boric acid on here, by the way. I just saw that one. So organic does not mean without pesticides. This is a common belief, but not the case.
Been created or altered in a lab. I mean, cyanide is a natural compound, but you wouldn't want to eat it. And the word organic means different things depending on where you live, because different countries play by different rules. In the United States, for something to be labeled organic, it's partially about excluding compounds, but it also focuses on production methods. Generally, that means no synthetic fertilizers, no GMOs, or any synthetic pesticides. Instead, organic farmers use things like crop rotation, or natural fertilizers, and those natural pesticides I discussed. Farmers also control pests with natural predators and traps, and weeds might be pulled by hand or controlled with mulch. And not all food labeled organic is completely organic.
This is the part that I think is the scam, right? Just because it's labeled organic doesn't mean it's organic. And he's going to show you how they get away with this.
If a label says organic in the US, it has to consist of at least 95% organic ingredients. If it says made with organic ingredients, it needs to be only up to 70% organic. Only when you see the words 100% organic does it actually mean that. The European Union rules are similar, but with a little bit stricter than the United States on labeling, and they also take animal welfare standards into account as well.
So that's what I wanted you guys to see. And I looked into this a while back because I had a former coworker who grew up on a farm. So her dad had a farm and they grew fruit and vegetables, and they had cows and chicken, all that kind of stuff. This is when I lived back in the Carolinas. And she said that she does not believe that all of these foods that are labeled in the grocery store as organic are organic, because she said from her experience growing up on a farm, when you grow food organically, it doesn't grow as fast. So how are they mass producing organic food so quickly if it doesn't grow fast to begin with? When she told me that made me think about some things. I see people all the time. They go into Whole Foods, which I don't even know if their standards have declined or not, because Amazon bought Whole Foods, so their standards may not even be the same. I see people spend all this money at Whole Foods and all these large prices, just to buy what they say is organic. And it's like, are these things actually really organic? Or are you paying a lot of money for something that isn't worth it? This guy here went to Trader Joe's, and I didn't know about this, the number on the barcode for fruits. And this is really important for fruits and vegetables. I think he got kicked out of Trader Joe's twice. But look at this little tip that he's going to show you about the avocados.
Avocados, organic, not bad. $4.99 for 4 organic avocados. In case you guys didn't know the way to tell organic food from non-organic food, a non-organic avocado, $4.225. If they have single avocados that are organic, it'll be $9.4225. So organic fruit and vegetables will be labeled with barcodes that have a 9 at the front.
So that, everyone take a note for that. So if it doesn't have a 9, he's saying that it's not organic fruit.
Be fooled. Sometimes the non-organic stuff sneaks into the organic stuff and you get fooled. Sugar plum, grape tomatoes, that's the only organic tomatoes I could find. If you guys can eat tomatoes, I'm jealous. All the nightshade fruits, eggplant, goji berries, tomato, peppers, they kind of bother my eczema. I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but
well, tomatoes tend to be inflammatory foods. Let's go to the part here when he gets to the packaged food. Again, this is still Trader Joe's.
An organic garlic bread, bake at home. I'm betting you it has folic acid in it. Let's see. Well, wheat flour with ascorbic acid, a dough conditioner, water, palm shortening, not so stoked about that. It's got a seed oil in it, natural flavors. Again, here's a perfect example of fake health foods at Trader Joe's. You don't actually know what natural flavors are. There are a lot of natural flavors that you guys would think are absolutely gross. Castoreum, and I'm not lying to you guys, is beaver anal gland secretions. It's mostly used in raspberry or berry flavored things or vanilla flavors. And it's mainly used today in perfumes. Opium from Yves Saint Laurent might actually have beaver anal gland secretions in it. But this is the kind of stuff that qualifies as natural flavors. If Trader Joe's wanted to, they could put castoreum from beaver anal glands in here, not listed on the label, and it's just natural flavors. So
that's the catch. That's supposed to be organic garlic bread, but it has seed oils in the ingredients and natural flavors, right? That could be anything, right? So this is how they get away with it. And hey, I like going to Trader Joe's, but they be scamming people too. It's like they be scamming people too. Someone just asked me about the tomatoes. So let me tell you something about the tomatoes. Back in the day, I took a good look at the TB12 diet, the Tom Brady diet. that he recommended for athletes and all the type of stuff. This thing that Tom Brady did during that time is that he would eat foods that were in season, and he would avoid foods that cause inflammation. And one of those foods was tomatoes. Tomatoes are also acidic, right? So some people that deal with acid reflux, they may not be able to handle tomatoes or tomato sauce. It depends, on the person. But yeah, tomatoes is one of the ones that can cause inflammation, right? So it all depends. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, you really want to try to limit processed foods. That's really what it comes down to. You limit the processed foods. And then also when you're looking at the foods, like the fruits and vegetables and those types of things at the end of the day, then you got to ask yourself, do I want to pay this money for this organic fruit or whatever? Well, now he said it starts with the number 9. So now you know what to look for. So it's sad in a way that they're able to do that. Like they can say it's organic because the FDA says as long as it meets these minimum requirements, you can do that. But it doesn't mean it's 100% organic. So it could still have crap in it, So I say if we just kind of go back to the old fashioned ways of doing things, cooking most of your foods and cooking them at home, eating less takeout, avoid fast food if you can. Not saying you can't have an occasional treat, but it's loaded with a bunch of shit. And then going back to those days where people used to sit at the table and the whole family would sit at the table and you would cook most of your food. I think once we get into the microwave age and stuff like that, that's when, those other chemicals and stuff like that can kind of sneak up in there. But you really want to have home cooked meals and you want to have less processed food. And if you can grow your own food, hey, go for it. I know some of you do. If you can grow your own like cucumbers and all that type of stuff, I say go for it. But that's the reality about our food. That's the reality. So that's the part 2. So in part 1, you saw that Walmart was overcharging people for the weight of their meats. And now you see that some of these supermarkets have food labeled organic and it's not even organic. And some of that's still loaded with crap. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.